And I have here parts for my VZ bot, VZ330 all-wheel drive DIY super badass 3D printer. And the reason they call it an all-wheel drive, so this is the Y-axis gantry here. Is carbon fiber gantry. You see here it's got the how well you can see this, but it's got a linear rail for that's the x-axis, and these rails are the y-axis, and it's CoreXY, and it's all-wheel drive, meaning 4 motors. 1, 2, 3, 4 motors. This is pretty heavy, but I think this is pretty light. Like I say, it's carbon fiber. Should be pretty high performance. But as a kit, it is an open source machine. You can pretty much, you can download all the models I did. I printed all these models, these plastic parts. And I ordered a kit for all these aluminum parts, such as these in the gantry, and these parts, and a whole bunch of parts. The vertical linear rails. This must be the motor for the Z-axis. Pretty stout. I think it's got 2 lead screws to raise it up and down, which is interesting because my Creality K1 has 3. I kind of like that, but this is probably pretty good. This has lots of interesting parts. Have a whole bunch of acrylic panels to enclose it. Have the pretty large print bed here, spring steel magnetized print bed. Where is that? Here's the heater. So this print bed, here's the actual print bed. Measures to just under 10 millimeters, so I imagine it started out as 10 millimeters and then it blanchard ground it to get it nice and flat. You can see the pattern, very telltale blanchard ground pattern to get it nice and flat. Nothing's perfectly flat, but it looks by the specs that it's pretty flat. Now these holes look like they are tapped already. I'm concerned that I have a whole bunch of parts that look like the holes are not tapped, and that will be super annoying. If I have to tap all these holes, I will not be happy about that. I heard a rumor that you have to tap these holes, and that will make me an unhappy customer, because I would rather pay, especially if I'm getting it from China, charge me an extra $50 and tap all the damn holes, right? Or give me the option. Don't make me tap the hole. The whole reason I spent $1,700 on this kit shipped, and if I have to tap the holes, I am going to be not a happy customer, because the whole reason I spent $1,700 was to avoid annoying things like sourcing parts and tapping holes. But anyway, let's move this out of the way. I'm wondering what material these printed parts are. Hopefully they're ABS or something good, so I don't have to reassemble those with my own printed parts, especially because, strangely enough, those parts were not in the STLs as far as I can tell. So I saw somebody, maybe it was Nero 3D, doing a build, and he said something about, if it was him, somebody said something about reprinting those parts out of better material, but they weren't, I did not see those parts. Like, I printed a whole lot of parts here. These are all ASA parts. These are all, that's not for it. These are all parts that I printed for this build. So they give you a whole bunch of STL files and tells you how many of each to print. This is not part of it. Another box here. So just a few 3D printed parts to assemble. Looks like a lot of fun, don't it? I guess I'm a glutton for punishment. Now that I did that, it looks even less fun. But I'm going to have a good time with it anyway. I'm really just griping because I might have to tap the holes. That will be super annoying if that is the case. And I think they look like they're not tapped, most of them. So, all right, let's put these back in a box because I just did that for the fun of it. And then I'm gonna, in a second, I'm gonna grab the rails. Those are aluminum parts. And the feet. Lots of printed parts. Lots of printed parts. Which is cool. It was fun printing the parts. I printed all these parts on my Creality K1. And it did a nice job. Did I mention these parts are ASA? I printed all these in ASA. Mostly white and some gray and a few black. I also bought some red that I thought was going to be more orangey. But it was very kind of lipsticky. Not my style. Oh, there was some, that is a nylon part that is not from this. Okay. But I just saw, yeah, so over these are TPU. I had some gray TPU that I printed for grommets. Where's that? See these grommets printed in gray TPU. These ducts are pretty neat. These go right on the hot end. That's like your cooling. And oh, there you go. So that's so that goes to here, and then the some connection here, and then you got the CPAP tube, and there's a CPAP somewhere that'll connect to that. So that's pretty neat. Really cool looking design. If you have not seen the VZ bot, check out Vez 3D, VEZ 3D on YouTube. And I believe he is the gentleman that has created this design. And it's a very thorough design. I'm not saying it's perfect. I don't know yet. It's probably not because as a design engineer myself, perfect never happens. You iterate and you improve and you call it good enough because there's no such thing as perfect in design engineering. I've owned Mercedes, BMWs, and everything is flawed. So it's all about perfect enough in design engineering. All right? Somebody tell me I'm wrong. And I bet you they're not a design engineer. Cable chain. Cable chain, CPAP. We got some linear rails here. Linear bearings for the Z-axis is on guide rods instead of linear rails. And so this is bearings for that. Got 4 of these. I got all these aluminum bearing brackets, almost like a pillow block, but I don't know, is that technically qualified as a pillow block? I would almost call that a pillow block. This looks much like a pillow block to me. Just the style of a bearing holder. They call it pillow block. Sort of a modified pillow block. There's plenty of aluminum brackets all over the place. Aluminum brackets. Aluminum extrusions. We have cable management. What do you call these? Cable troughs, cable rails, something like that. We got DIN rails to mount electronics. We got blower fans. We got a pipe. It take me long. This thing will easily be built by Christmas 2025. Now that I realize I have to build all these cables. All right, we got a lot of screws, brackets, T-nuts, tiny screws, million T-nuts, 1.5 million M4 screws and nuts. Lots of screws, lots of nuts. We got a timing pulley. All the other ones are mounted, or most of them anyway, on the gantry, on the XY assembly, subassembly. So that must be for the Z axis. I'm going to infer very definitively. We have a solid state relay, I do believe. I don't even know what a solid state relay is compared to a non-solid state relay. But I know relays have a bunch of inputs and outputs, and I'm calling it a relay. And I heard it has a solid state relay, so I'm saying that is a heavy duty solid state relay. And does it say it on it? I don't see it saying anywhere that it's a relay, but I believe that is a relay. I don't know. We have another fan. We have power connection cable. We have some more extrusions. I don't know why those are in there. We have two power supplies. I'm not sure why there are two power supplies. Maybe one for the x-axis, one for the y-axis, or maybe just because it's 4 motors, or maybe it's just because overall there's so much power. It definitely takes a lot of power, but there's 2 power supplies with it. There's screws. That's the same one I already looked at, I guess, probably. And we're not even close to done. There's some little nubbins here. Let's put those in there. Not sure what they're for. And let's see what else we have going on over here. We looked at the build plate. We looked at the gantry. Here is the hotbed mounting plate. Hotbed mounting plate. Hotbed? Heat bed? Hoot bed? I don't know, whatever it's called. And what else? I'm sure there's more stuff. Oh yeah, this is what I wanted to show. Well, actually, before I show that, I have my lamp over here up on, did I show that box? Oh, I didn't even, I skipped right over this box. How did I do that? This box, I moved it and I didn't show anything. We have a cable. Oh, look, they assembled a cable for me. How nice of them. Oh, I did start to show that, but I didn't show this. Oh, that's a belt. Oh, okay, I'm confused. That's another, I was thinking it was like LED lighting or something, but it's just a belt. And some bed springs, bed leveling springs, and some limit switches. And so interestingly, I saw a thing recently, some kind of circuitry. I'm not sure what those feet are for. All right, I did kind of already show this one. I saw something where on a Reddit post where the Creality K1 sort of knocks when it first starts, like it hits the end of the y-axis and kind of knocks into the frame. And I wasn't sure if it was just like a slight design flaw, but it turns out that somebody said that it uses like back EMF on the steppers to determine instead of limit switches, and it doesn't use limit switches. And I thought that was really interesting because I had a funny realization. And I remember I was dealing with this young client. He was a real go-getter. He was a cool guy, way younger than me. And he had his own startup company. He had like 7 or 8 employees, maybe more by now, maybe less by now. I don't know. I haven't talked to him in a while. And I remember we were talking about limit switches. So we're designing this thing on an XY gimbal, dual axis gimbal, electronic, blah blah blah. And we're talking about limit switches, and I'm like, but can't you just use the stepper motor somehow to, if there's some resistance up against the stop, to have it realize that use the software somehow to realize that it's at the end. No, you can't do that. You can't do that. And it was funny. He was so certain that it couldn't be done. I was like, all right, well, his background is electrical engineering, and I'm a mechanical designer, so I took his word for it. And then I just heard the other day that Creality K1 uses senses the stepper motor sense that they crash into something and use that instead of a limit switch. Vindication. Thank you very much. I called it 5 years ago. An electrical engineer told me it doesn't work, and turns out it works. So don't believe everything you think, no matter how smart you are, because we're all flawed. And I know a million times, I could tell you a million stories where I was wrong. And of course, when I was younger, I'm 50 now. So when I was younger, I thought I was the guy. Turned out, I was the noob. And I'm still learning. The more I learn, the more I know, the less I know. This is my CPAP motor, blower, whatever you want to call it. Interesting stuff. Supposedly put a whole bunch of flow. I don't use a CPAP. I think I saw a thing where some bodybuilders tend to use a CPAP for recovery when they're sleeping because they have so much body mass and blood mass and volume, and they can actually improve their recovery if they use a CPAP, even if they don't have breathing problems. I have a good friend of mine that uses a CPAP, but I don't know. I've never been there when he's sleeping, so I don't know. I've never seen a CPAP actually work. So this is going to be my first experience with a CPAP. Here we have some circuitry, maybe related to CPAP, maybe not. I have no idea. Circuitry, bam. We have some fans, some little fans with cables already assembled. Come on, Mello, couldn't you have disassembled those? So I had to assemble those like the other 7,000 cables I have to build. Nicely packaged, Mello, though. He does a nice job packaging things. And stuff. I believe this is the display. I think it might be a touchscreen display. Actually, I had to buy. I have a few Raspberry Pis laying around from years ago. What is this, double-sided? No, I thought that was double-sided tape. It's a ribbon cable. Obviously for the display, because it's in the box with the display. But I had some Pis. I had two that I bought, and then I had that same client that I mentioned. He had sent me one or two, but I guess to run that LCD, I need a Raspberry Pi 4. So that's some kind of heat sink and a PCB. I'm guessing those are stepper drivers. Just guessing. I don't really know. I'm calling them stepper drivers. What does this say in Chinese? Somebody tell me. He said, "Holy shit." I don't even know if that's from a friend of mine used to say that all the time, and it was quote from something I never got the reference. Same thing, different box. More cables. More assembled cables. Thank you for some of these cables being assembled. Oh, I am so extremely thankful for that. Some less cables that I have that I don't have to assemble. All right, we're almost there. By there, I mean not even starting yet. But we're almost through all the parts that I think I have here. So this is the good stuff. This actually gets me started. I think, oh, look at those big panels. Let's look at that. We got some rails. So that's really to start the build, is these extrusions. Look at that. Serious stuff. I didn't want to try to cut these straight and stuff. Let somebody with proper equipment cut them nice and straight for me. I'm not afraid of cutting metal, but somebody with equipment will cut it straighter than me with my angle grinder. I do not have precision cutoff saw, and these are just mostly acrylic panels, although there's some big heavy, holy cow. We have these are just acrylic panels to enclose it. But here we have, now we're talking. Some aluminum. I'm totally just ripped off AWD guy. Sorry, bud. This thing is all gouged up. What the hell? Why is it only protected on one side? Listen. Look at this, it's all freaking gouged up. Oh, that's okay. It's just markings from something. But I tell you what, if this guy was on Yelp, I'd say the food was delicious, but I had to build it all. I had to grow my own crushed red pepper. Another aluminum. At least this one's protected on both sides. Yeah, why is the other one only protected on one side? I'm going to have to take some pictures of this stuff. You know what? I don't have to take pictures of it because I'm taking video of it. And I can just show them the video. So I think that is all of the parts that I have to deal with. And so I'm going to get rid of these guys. And so ultimately, what I wanted to do tonight is get these extrusion rails onto my work table. In my clean workspace, which this is my clean workspace, not to be confused with my 3D print shop or my office, which has no space to do anything on other than design stuff. It's a very design focused workspace in my downstairs office. Up here, this table is my clean, as you can tell, look how clean it is. My clean assembly table. Let's start pulling these out. I need a little more space, just a little more space. just a little more space. All right. I don't know how much of this you can see. We got, what are these, 20 by 40, I think, maybe, if I recall correctly. Looking good. The anodized right on the ends, too, so that's cool. I can't tell. My eyesight is not good enough anymore. That actually looks tapped. Tough to say, though. Could just be chamfered. Can you tell? That looks tapped to me. These look tapped. Thank you. Something is tapped. Couple built cables, couple tapped rails, lots of unbuilt cables, lots of untapped holes. Mildly disappointing, but what are you gonna do? It does say DIY, so can't complain too much. It's gonna be an awesome printer once it's built. So these are all looking pretty clean, unlike those aluminum panels. Not confidence expiring. It is confidence expiring. It is confidence expiring to see one of those panels without even the protective cover on it, and both of them being pretty gouged up. Not too excited about that for the money. I paid for this kit, I believe it was $1,400 plus $300 shipping. And the box was not damaged. The box is totally not damaged. So any damage happened at the factory. And I will bring the box over here in a moment. So here's my 4 linear rails, linear rods for the Z axis. And here are my 2 lead screws for the Z axis. I looked at them earlier. I believe they are a 4-start. Maybe you can count that. And what that means is like 4 threads in parallel, and that makes it a much steeper angle, so faster motion ratio. I'm calling it a motion ratio. Coining the term right now. You can use it too, and then you'll sound stupid too. Okay. We have, I believe these are interesting. I was looking at these. They look to be a torque coupling with the misalignment compensation type of deal, like a dovetail, like a 3-piece kind of XY axis dovetail thing. So it's like it's rigid, so it won't flex, relative to if it was like, sometimes torque couplings have like a rubber insert to allow for misalignment. But this, to allow for misalignment, just has like this triple piece, double action dovetail, sort of XY direction. Neat design. I'm not sure I've ever seen that before. Anyway, another 20 by 20, I think. And a bunch of 20 by 20s. 20 by 20. 20 by 20. Somebody be sure to tell me that it's not 20 by 20 and it's actually like 25 by 25. I don't know. And these, I believe, again, 2 more 20 by 40s. All nice and clean. I'm glad to see that these look good. These look better than those aluminum panels that are looking a little ugly. Not very happy about that. So that is the start of my build, ultimately, and I'll need that. And where was the one with all the screws and brackets? Yeah, screws and brackets was, I think, the second one down over here. So that's electronics. I'm going to start segregating things. So that is my display. I'm not going to need that for a long time. Let's put that over here with the panels. So really the purpose of this video is for me to start organizing this pile of stuff. It's a big pile of stuff, and it's hard to work on if it's just a big pile of stuff. So I'm going to get rid of all the electronic stuff for now, because I won't need that until I build the structure. So putting those all over here to the side. More electronics, CPAP. What was this guy? Look, fans, don't need those, don't need that fan, don't need the power. Yeah. Last thing I'm going to use is the power cord. I'm not going to need the power cord until I'm at the cemetery looking up from the bottom. Okay, couplings, I'm going to need that eventually. This is the, all these nuts. Yeah, these brackets. That's what I was looking for. These brackets. I'm going to need those. I'm going to need these screws. I'm not going to need these power supplies for a while. This mechanical stuff, I'm going to put that there for now, but I'm going to set that aside, but in a different spot than the electronics. Let's put that there. Z-axis stuff, that's with this. Where do I want to put that? I want to put that over here. Somewheres. That'll do. I'll probably trip over in the middle of the night trying to go take a pee and break my foot and kick my printed parts through the window. Probably happen. You can see it on the news. Nah, you won't see it on the news because they don't put real stuff on the news. They only put their agenda stuff on the news. Did I say that out loud? Sorry about that. What is this stuff for? These are little tiny, lightweight little, a little jingle jangle. It's like St. Nick's on the roof. And his tiny little reindeers. I'm not sure what these are for. They're for something. Lightweight aluminum bracketry. Okay. Oh, interesting. They did wrap them up carefully so the shrink wrap was between them, and now I'm going to thwart that by putting them all in one layer. But it doesn't have to get here on a slow boat from China. Literally. Like the rest of the parts. So that, not sure what that goes with, but these guys, I don't need these right now. I don't need these right now on the air. So I would say it's not pneumatics. Fluid flow, fluid stuff. Fluid flow stuff. Let's get rid of these guys. Won't need these for a while. Yeah, these million electrical connectors. I'm gonna have bad dreams now. Throw those over there. Put these fans over with the electronics. And so these boxes are printed parts. These linear Z-axis stuff, I'm going to put with the rest of the Z-axis stuff. And you probably hear my floor creaking. My house is ancient. It's not really ancient, just like, 160 years old or so. All right, what am I going to do with all these aluminum parts? Here's a box for some aluminum parts. And I'm going to try to not scratch them up. But this is hard anodizing. Like, anytime you see black, real dark black anodizing like this, it's they call it hard anodizing. It's much thicker than, so like those big sheet panels that I was complaining are scratched up. Those are just probably like, I think they call it undyed anodizing. So there's, it's been a long time since I specified anodizing back from my aerospace days. But basically, you call out the National Air, like the NAS, blah, blah, which is National Aerospace, and it's a specification system, technical specification set of documents. It's like an encyclopedia of here's how you properly tap screws, and here's how you properly, I don't know, whatever. Here's how the proper thread forms for screws, and the proper rivet geometries, and the proper, like, just everything you can think of. The proper toilet seat opening diameter, everything you can think of. Maybe not the toilet seat thing on the NAS, but I guarantee the military specs, I bet you there's a mil spec for the toilet seat size, I'm telling you. And it would be based on human factors, and I can't remember the standard for that. I was going to say like mil S130, but I think that's actually for marking things, like the size of the letters, if I recall correctly. Been some years since I worked with the military specs and the aerospace specs. But it's interesting to explore that stuff. But it can be quite tedious, and it was one reason I actually quit that. I had a really good aerospace job. Is to design Hall effect thrusters for electrical propulsion systems for satellites, and it was so tedious, like dotting the I's and crossing the T's, and oh my god, it's freaking horrible. It was really cool. It was a great learning experience, but boy, was it tedious. And I just wanted to like design cool. I just wanted to play Legos in my computer. I don't want to sit there and do a bunch of paperwork. So that's what I do now. Is I play Legos for people that pay me to play Legos. Kind of what I do now, and there's no military specs involved. Anyway, so all right, I am in pretty good shape now. And one thing I do need to still do, I've looked at the CAD file some, and I don't recall seeing like an assembly drawing. I'm hoping this is still recording, because otherwise I'm just talking to nobody. All right, we're 33 minutes in. That's not bad. But yeah, we seem to be recording. So let's just organize these guys. So yeah, I was saying I need to. There's a bunch of README files, which is an interesting way to do it. I think these guys they're like on GitHub, and I really am not a fan of GitHub, and that probably just demonstrates how much of a caveman I am. But boys, like I'm sure for software guys, it makes all the sense in the world. But being a mechanical guy, it's such a learning curve to do something that all you need is a folder. All you need is a cloud folder and put the files in it, and I can download the files. Like GitHub is so overcomplicated for mechanical stuff. I don't know. I have multiple projects, current clients, where I just set up simple document control folder structures on like Google Drive or whichever service they want to use, Google Drive or Dropbox. One guy uses Google Drive, one guy uses Dropbox. I just set another guy up with I think we did Google Drive. We do Google Drive. I'm confused because Dropbox recently migrated to Google Drive for the Google Docs, and it's all confusing. I was thinking about switching to the Microsoft services so that I could use I much prefer the functionality of the Microsoft Office suite over the Google Docs office, online cloud stuff. And so then I started the transition, but then I realized when you use the Microsoft stuff online, you lose all that same functionality that I like, the zoom, like control and wheel to zoom. It just goes away once you're on the cloud for both. Google Docs already doesn't do it, or Google Slides, but PowerPoint, all of a sudden you can't zoom in and out anymore. It's like it just gets all wimpy once you go to the cloud. So I just do stuff local and upload it to the cloud. Work on it local. Anyway, enough of that rant. This motor I don't need yet. We'll put this in the electromechanical stuff, which is also, yeah, I guess I'll put this, that's the Z stuff. I guess that's Z-axis mechanical stuff. Put that in that pile. We're getting there. We have more smaller extrusions. All right, so what do we got? 1, 2, 3 of these. That does not make sense to me. Oh, is that a double one? Haha. Tricked myself. All right, so we have the 4 of the 10 by 20 by, what is that? I was going to guess how long it is, but I just happen to have, let's get rid of this. That's not helping me. So we happen to have a scale over here. So these are 20. Is it metric on the other side? No. All inch. 21 and 7/8 just about. No. 21 and 7/8. So what's that in metric? I mean, that's practically a meter. Right? Not. 21. So here's how you do it. 4 inches is just under 100. So 20 is going to be just under. Okay, so the 20 is just under half a meter, basically, which looks about right. So anyway, so that's 500. So I don't know, 50 centimeters, something like that. I don't even know. I'm probably way off. I don't know. I don't like doing math on demand when in front of people. I can figure it out on my own. But anyway, so those are the same length. These are shorter. You couldn't have figured that out by yourself, could you? Those are shorter. These cable troughs. What do they call these things? Cable troughs. Definitely cable management, something or other. Don't need them. Don't need this den rail right now. Put that with the old electronicals. And we'll put that with the electronicals. It's a good throw, huh? Jeez, I got quite an arm with the electronics. All right, so I guess all right. I was gonna call it good, but I'm gonna take these brackets out, and I'm gonna feel like I did a little bit more. When I was just about to quit, I kept on keeping on, and we'll take this these little hardwares out, and line these up over here. So these, oh, at least they bunched them up. The M4, M2, M3, M5. It's almost like I can count. Let's do this. 2, 3, 4, 5. It's funny, I bought a piece of exercise equipment recently. Others, okay. Okay, I see they're pins, like a clever spin type of deal. And so, oh, some magnets. And of course the brackets. But I bought this, like what do they call it, like a power rack. Who's alerting me? So I get like this power rack thing, which is pretty nice. And you know, it's got pulleys and cables, and it's got the squat rack, and it's got, you know, the thing for the barbell and blah blah blah, and you know, pull-up bar. I really just wanted a pull-up bar. That's all I wanted was a pull-up bar, but I decided that every time I tried to buy a cheap pull-up bar, it was useless, and so I decided I needed a power rack just so I could have a pull-up bar. But bonus, it has cables and pulleys and barbell holders and squat rack and all that stuff, and it was pretty affordable. And so anyway, when I went to assemble it, I was like, oh, these are all in bags. That's great. Super convenient. They organized them into bags and stuff. Except then you start to take them out of the bags. They had like the same size screw in 5 different bags. Like 2 of them in this bag, 3 of them in that bag. And it was like, it was such a pain. So they tried, their heart was in the right place to organize it, but it was not super useful. Now the guy texting, I think that's, I think that's probably one of my hockey teams. I'm an old fart that plays a lot of hockey, and somebody sent a message because we won. One of our teams won the league championship last season, and so we ordered some championship jackets. And the hubbub today is that the jackets are in, and we need to get together to receive our championship jackets. And so I think that's probably what all those messages, well, those alerts are. Is because people can't figure out where to meet. So one guy says meet at the rink, one guy says meet at the bar. I'd personally rather meet at the rink because I don't need to go to a bar. I used to go to bars, but I'm 50. I don't need to go to bars. But I'm a very immature 50, so I got that going for me. All right, so that's all those guys out of there. And I know there's a couple printed parts that I know I need, which is these guys. These are diagonal brackets that go in between. These are ASA parts. Man, look at, I mean, that's pretty good quality parts. I mean, I don't know how well you can see that. Very happy with that. Kicking myself still because what was I thinking? I printed with a brim. And this stuff adhered to the bed so well. Like I printed this one thing. I don't know if you might have seen the video, but I printed this, and it was too big to fit on the bed flat on my K1. My Creality K1 is just slightly too big to print flat. And so I said, I'm going to fix that. I'm going to print it at an angle like this. And then I was like, there's no way that's not going to fall off. And so I made myself a simple support in CAD so it wouldn't fall over and break off and jam and break my printer 17 different ways. And so by the time it was done, it had curled away from the support a little bit, and I'm like knocking on the thing and it's not falling off, and I like had to yank on it to get it off the bed. So I totally didn't need that support. It's kind of funny, but anyway, pretty big part, big solid part, very strong parts. This ASA, which is interesting because I made some other. Oh yeah, I just made a crack. Never mind. I was gonna say it was interesting because I had this other part, but it was a lot thinner, and I think just like it was strong, but if I put good pressure on it, the thing just cracked right in half. And that's on another video. Actually, I've been pumping out more junk videos just to try to see what's good, what gets good attention, and what doesn't. And but I've actually gone in just about 90 days, maybe. I think not quite 100 days. I think I'm up to like at the start of this, I think it was like 233 subscribers. So thank you to all of my subscribers. Makes it all worth doing. And this is going to be about it for this. So if you're still watching this, you can't hate it too much. Maybe you could help me and others out by giving a thumbs up and consider subscribing. And any comments or questions, of course, feel free to ask. I hope I didn't put this video on private. That would be annoying. I think I put it on public broadcast. So mostly good for now. I still have to figure, like, I don't know how these go together. I do have the other day when I was testing my AV setup, and it's funny, I totally went full circle and went back to just using a phone instead. I was going to use my laptop and a webcam and blah, blah, blah. The quality was horrible. And so I decided to just use my new phone, and hopefully that works out. I may bring my laptop up next time just so I can have the CAD in front of me, even though it's like a 17-inch screen, so it's big for a laptop. But I'm used to a 43-inch 4K monitor that I run an HDMI cable from that laptop to the monitor. It's really a beast of a laptop. I guess I'll show it next time if I have it up here. But it's a serious machine. It's 64 gig of DDR5 RAM, RTX 4070, 13th gen Intel processor, like 13970, blah blah blah. Dual Western Digital black SSDs in RAID 0. Serious CAD workstation of a laptop. And I was debating, I already had a pretty good desktop that was my workstation that I built some years back, and had upgraded it to like a RTX 3090 and SSD, and so I had a whole bunch of upgrades. But it was I don't know, maybe it was like a 10th gen processor, and so I definitely could upgrade. And I was debating if I should just upgrade it, or if I should build a whole nother desktop computer, or if I should just get a high-end laptop. And what I decided to do ultimately was to avoid downtime, was to at least temporarily and maybe permanently, to get a very high-end laptop to use as a workstation, and then just run the big monitor again off the HDMI output on the laptop. And then I would have my choice between the laptop and my previous desktop to see which I liked better. And then once I got used to working with the laptop, then I can potentially then upgrade the desktop to the latest processor and RAM and things like that. But I'm really pretty happy with the laptop performance. Very good laptop performance. And so I've transitioned to that as my primary workstation, and it really does a great job. It runs that 43-inch 4K monitor awesomely. It's almost like a no-name brand laptop. It's made by Clevo Computers, which I had never heard of until I was doing a whole bunch of homework, and I wasn't satisfied with what I was finding, because what I wanted the 13th generation, and this was probably 3 months ago. So as of like 3 months ago or so, 3-4 months ago, I could not find a laptop that was all of these, that was 13th gen Intel and DDR5 with 64 gig of DDR5. That was a real sticking point, to find 64 gig of RAM. I couldn't find a laptop with 64 gig, especially if it was DDR5 in the 13th gen. Like a lot of times, like there was one with a 12th gen processor that might get 64 gig or whatever. But anyway, so it's got that. It's got the 13th gen, 64 gig of DDR5, RTX 4070. Of course, it's the mobile edition, but it's still a very powerful graphics card. And like I said, the SSD. The icing on the cake was that the Clevo, it's very customizable. Unlike if you get a Lenovo or you get a Dell, they're all like cookie cutter. They're all the same. You usually can't get them with 64 gig. If you do, it's like 5-10 grand. It's ridiculous. And so I saw these Clevo, and I guess they're out of Taiwan and secondarily Germany. And I was actually debating. I finally found I could buy one from Germany, but I was like, it was like the logistics of the shipping was questionable. And then I'm thinking, if it goes wrong, what am I going to do? And blah blah blah. And I was close to giving up, but then I found this AVA Computers, or AVA Computing or something like that. And they do all kinds of custom builds of like every brand, but including these Clevo things. And so I got that computer with all that stuff for like $2,300, something like that, shipped. I believe it was shipped. And I mean, what an awesome value! What an awesome value the machine is. And I was a little slightly concerned that it might be too noisy with the cooling, and it's actually super nice. It does it like the it's like wind noise rustling through the trees. It's actually a soothing, breezy rustling through the leaf sound. And it kind of ebbs and flows, and it really makes it really. And I'm like a kind of an outdoors guy, and I live in the sticks, so I know what that sounds like. And it's really kind of a soothing. I actually almost prefer it over my desktop. I have a super quiet case intentionally. Like I've gone like the liquid cooling route, and that was the most annoying thing. Those liquid cooling pumps were so loud, at least the one I had, and I'll never go back to that. And it clogged, and the computer overheated because the thing clogged and it comes already with liquid in it. So it's not like I did a bad job putting it in. It comes already liquefied, blah blah blah. And so when I super quiet desktop computer I have, and I was concerned that one of the things I would hate about the laptop was the fan noise, and a total non-issue for me. I actually like the way it sounds. It doesn't sound like fans. It sounds like wind through the trees. It really does. You know, you hear the fans, you hear the wind, and it's actually very nice computer. Very happy with that. Very excellent value. Super low priced compared to the competition, like way lower priced than the competition, and all of the best of everything. So super happy about the AVA computers. Not a paid advertisement, just sharing if anybody else is looking for something similar. AVA Computing, and the brand is Clevo, CLEVO Computers, and very happy with it. I wasn't sure how it'd be, but I'm the type that I'm just like, all right, that looks like it could be a good value. I'm gonna try it, and if it's good, I'll tell people, and if it's bad, I'll tell people, right? And I'm not gonna gripe about a whole bunch of stuff. In my test videos earlier, I was kind of griping about some things, some technology I have, like this microphone I'm using. Not a big fan of it. The DJI mic, not a big fan of it. Although it's okay now, and now that I figured it out, I guess it's working okay. I'm not gonna go into that stuff. So anyway, next I have to do some studying on how this goes together. We'll build the structure, and then we will. Once I build the structure, I will put the the stationary structure. Then I'll build the Z-axis, and then I'll build the gantry. I think I'll do it in that order because then I don't want the gantry in the way when I'm trying to do the Z-axis. We'll see. Maybe the documentation tells me what order to do things, and then I will populate with the electronicals, and we'll get this thing printing. I'm looking forward to that. I don't have a vision in my head. Like you need a vision of your head of yourself succeeding at it, right? And I'm not seeing it yet. I'm not seeing it yet. And I've sort of been not well. I was busy with work in the last week or so, the last 2 weeks really, but I have to get to this. I have to get to other projects too. But I want to get this thing built. It's going to be awesome. Should be some good content when I get this built and do some testing, and we'll see what happens from there. So anyway, thanks for watching. Like, subscribe, all that other good stuff, and stay tuned. We're going to build this beast and test it and see how good it is, and maybe if I show how awesome it is, if it is really awesome, that maybe some other people will have the confidence to jump in and buy and build one for themselves. So anyway, thanks for watching. Look forward to next time.